The City Council finalized a budget that increases taxes 5.69%, which is added to the already high property taxes in the city of Missoula. Residents of Missoula pay the highest property taxes among major cities in Montana already.
All right, so the 5.6 some percent, is that on the high end of what was anticipated?
It is on the high end. The mayor's proposed budget had a tax increase slightly less than that, but city council members added some additional spending. They did cut a few things, but overall the spending increase was even larger than the mayor was asking for.
Now, what about the controversial proposal for $15 per hour minimum wage? How did that fare?
What ended up happening was a phased-in approach. The city council voted to allow a one-year phase-in of a $12 minimum wage, which almost already existed within the city. The total cost of phasing in that $12 an hour minimum wage was about $2,000, and it remains to be seen what will happen in future years and whether or not it'll truly be phased in to $13, $14, or $15 an hour moving forward.
Now, has there been any movement at all on the mountain water as far as added expenses? Has that any of those come through yet?
There hasn't been a lot. Last night, I think we approved a check somewhere in the vicinity of $6,000 for another expense, but it's certainly going to be an expensive process moving forward. I continue to maintain that we're likely halfway there at most, and I would imagine that the city of Missoula and the taxpayers of Missoula will see a bill well over $10 million when that's all said and done.
So anything else in the meeting last night that stood out to you that our listeners would want to say, hey, this is something to be concerned about?
Not really. I mean, when we talk about the budget, we generally kind of focus on new requests, and I think Missoula's budget problems are a lot bigger than just some nickel and dime new requests every year. I think we have structural issues within our budget. We need to go back, take a comprehensive look, and start with a zero-based budget and determine whether the money that we're spending is truly necessary to run a city. I maintain that it's not, and that's the reason why residents in Missoula pay the highest property taxes among major cities in Montana. It's the reason why our mill levies are about 10% higher than the average of the major cities, and it's the reason why it's expensive to live in Missoula, to work in Missoula, and to try and make it in Missoula.
Now, Adam, this is rather unusual. The city council, so many of the members are not running for re-election, and there's going to be an interesting situation. I wanted to find out how it went with the vote on the primary for Ward 2.
You bet. The county elections office determined that a primary was necessary in Ward 2. The state statute is about as clear as mud, and my understanding of it is that the primary was not necessary, though city council still has the ability to choose whether or not to hold a primary. Anyway, in the end, the city determined that it was necessary in Ward 2, but there would be no primary in Ward 6.
Okay, because it only has 3 individuals.
Correct.
Okay. So when all is said and done at the start of the next session in January, how many new members will there be?
It's hard to say. There could be as many as 5 new members, or there could be as many as 6 new members. There could be as few as 5 new members.
All right. Now, how do you think that will substantially change the outlook of the council? I realize you probably haven't had a chance to vet the various individuals who are running, but do you see any sort of philosophical change or a sea change coming in the city council one way or the other?
I think that depends on what the voters decide and who the voters elect. I mean, there's a lot of candidates running who have the endorsement of Mayor Engen and of several sitting city council members, and I think if you vote for those kind of folks, you're going to get more of the same. There's other folks who are running more independent campaigns, some who are running more fiscally conservative or conservative campaigns, and I think if you elect those kind of folks, you can expect to see some change in the city council and the way the city's run.
So in this particular instance, the people of Missoula have the ability to change things if they want to.
Absolutely. This is probably a greater shot at seeing change in your city government than we've had the opportunity to see in many years. It's a lot easier as a candidate to run when you don't have to run against an incumbent. And I just encourage people to get involved and to support the candidates that will represent the interests of the people and the interests of the taxpayers.